Hey guys, it's almost March 1st, 2023, and we reached the end of the development of the MOWG evolution. We're there now. So for those of you that want big projects, let me just describe it this way. If you give me a backstory, a simple description of your product and or service with some explanation of anything else you want to say, okay, then we can decide how many domains that we're making for you, how many websites you want on your order, and we can go. And here's what happens. The system will use the backstory to come up with good domain names. And then the system will use the backstory and the domain names to figure out a good focal keyword for each domain name. Then the system will use the backstory and the keywords to figure out a totally different headline that acts as a homepage headline for each of those domain names. Okay, and that allows me to have a file I can download and final tweak. And then I can decide when I'm going further now if I want to make adjustments to the backstories, like cycle through a few angles of the backstory focal points on the way down so that each of these websites focuses on a different thing. For example, this is XFOG eyewear. You might use it for airsoft. The SWAT team might use it. Doctors performing surgeries in tents in the desert where their goggles fog up, eyewear fogs up, can use this. So each of these different domains can be focused on a different purpose. Okay. By the way, if we had our domain names, we put them in here already and we just start building from there. Anyway, we're going to go next. And what happens next is we're going to import that file that we generated. And here's what's going to happen. The system's going to look at the main title and the backstory and the main keyword. Okay. And it's going to extrapolate from that what that home page should be written about for each of those domains. So it's going to figure out how to write the home page for each of those domains. When it does that, it's doing it by coming up with subsections for the home page. Okay? So then what's it going to do? It's going to treat each of those subsections as also an inner page. So it's going to make that a main title, the subsection, and it's going to find out, based on the backstory, the subsection, and that keyword, what sections it should be built from. And so it's going to build all those pages. How does that look visually? Let me just show you this way. There was something else. Here's the way a website should be built. You have a focal point that connects to whatever the main points are. Okay? And then you can build your page around that concept. But then this can also be a standalone page now. If the home page is introducing these topics with a little bit of writing for each, that's great. But since these are the things we're dealing with, we should make a page for each of them. Guess what the page should be made from? We extrapolate by going deeper. Now we're going to make a whole new page for each of these things. What do we have in the end? We have 5 pages written for the menu. We've got the home page, which takes this section up. Then we have the page 1, well, page 2, basically, if you think of the home page as page 1. And then another page, and a final page. Does that make sense? It's totally organized. The home page introduces these topics that are going to be extrapolated on in the menu, and then we can create more pages from there. Anyway, do you see the organization? So what does that mean? That means here, when we import, it's going to look at those main titles and the subtitles, and it's going to it's going to create the subtitles. Then it's going to look at those subtitles, turn those into pages, and create the subtitles for those. So it does what I just showed you on that tab, but it does it for all of the websites, whether it's 9 or 100. Okay? And it does the whole thing into a single file. It basically prepares everything. We can figure out the tone for every page. Should it be informal, engaging, witty, convincing, polite, combinations, polite, comma, witty, informal, comma, engaging, professional, comma, convincing. And so we can do that real quick into our file. And we can decide everything in our file. And then when we get all that done, we go to the next step and hit go. And when we do that in the next step, that is our remote control function. It's going to go and just start filling in all the websites. And all the websites just go live with all that content. Now, how long does it take for all these steps? Just for fun, that first step I showed you, how long does it take, first of all, to create your backstory? I don't know, a couple of minutes, 3, 4, 5, whatever it takes for you to think and write out a backstory. Like if you're having us do this for general purpose, like the big projects for DML are going live now. And that's the stuff for accident attorneys and the stuff for alcohol and drug rehab and anything else anyone wants to get in there is now open game because we can generate, with backstories, we can literally generate anything for any industry almost line by line. It's absolutely insane what we're able to do now. So this is just, I don't know, a few minutes of writing. Whether it's you writing or me writing, it's a few minutes of writing, okay? Or the copywriter's writing. And then we got it. And then we run this first step. It takes about a minute, maybe 2, to do 100. If I did 100 domain names here, okay? And by the way, I can keep adding more, and I can search for keywords. You know, if I see things that are off, I can search for that concept, delete, and then just go back and add some more, you know, and it'll just keep adding. So I'm trimming, adding until I have a perfect stack. Nice, huh? And they all are great. Takes just a couple of minutes. So once I'm done with that, I export it, tweak it in my Excel file, upload it. Takes a few minutes for that maybe. And then when I upload it to the next step and it goes through the next process for 100 domains, it usually takes about 3 minutes to go through and lay out all the subsections for the main pages. And then for all those subsections, what would their subsections be so that we can write all those pages? So think about it this way. If the home page has an average of 6 subsections that belong to it, we're going to write the home page onto the website plus another 6 pages that are also going to belong to the website. Go into the menu, we can even do drop downs. So that's 7 pages per website that's going to automatically line up in minutes for every single domain. So if that's 7 pages times 100 websites, we're trying to make 700 pages, right? And so this 3-step process now, the step 1, the step 2 I'm showing you, and the next step that we do after this is actually a 4-step. It's just, there are 2 parts to this step here. 2 different pages to go to for us to do the work. 4-step process. That other thing just takes like a minute. I just have to download something and upload it and let it run. So here's the thing. 7 minutes per website for 100 sites, say. What's that mean? And this is just insane, okay? It means this. Say the average page, the average page takes about 2.5 minutes to produce, okay? And we're gonna say 2.5 minutes. All right, well, how many seconds is that then? Times 60 seconds. I like getting things in seconds because this is a thing that happens in seconds. So we got 150 seconds to make 1 page, right? Then that's 2.5 minutes times 700 pages, except for what? We chunk the work and run it in parallel. So we do this part of the job while doing that part of the job, while doing the next part and the next part, all in parallel. So let's divide by 5, because really we're doing 5 pages in that 150 seconds, say, on the server. So I'm going to divide by 5. And what it means is we're really making a page every 30 seconds. But guess what else we do with our 100 domains if we're doing 100? We spread them out. Say we spread them out across 3 servers, okay? Like East, Central, and West in the US, okay? Then we can do 3 of these jobs at the same time. Again, these are working in chunks while these are working in chunks and these are working in chunks. They all get to work in parallel. So again, divide by 3 for the time. We're producing a page every 10 seconds. If we're producing a unique page every 10 seconds in that whole process, right? And again, how long did it take to set up the program? It was some minutes plus some minutes plus some minutes plus some minutes. Yeah. So I don't care how much thought and effort. If we put an hour in, okay, then our files are awesome. An hour. Our files are awesome. Okay. So now what? Let me see. 10. Okay. That would mean what? That would mean, times, or I'm sorry, Claire, what, it would be 6 pages a second, or I'm sorry, 6 pages a minute. Okay, 6 pages times 60 minutes, that's what I want to say, okay? 360 an hour takes 2 hours, 720. So let me explain this one more time. This is the craziness of where we are right now. starting with a backstory, I can create an industry takeover. Literally launch it. And within a few hours, 2 to 3 hours, we're done with that part of it. Now, granted, there's more. We have to install the domains to the cPanel. That takes us like a minute. Buying the domains takes us like 5 minutes. Setting the name servers takes us like 3 minutes, So again, it's minutes. And then uploading all the templates and stuff takes a little longer. It's like 8 per minute, 12 per minute, for 3 servers. Now, per minute? Yeah, 12 per minute. So, 12 per minute, 60 minutes, you're done with 100. Gosh. And then, the only other things really are basics. Deciding what we want for imagery, because we got to create images to go through all the websites. That's the longest part now, actually, is the images. And then what? What do you have for a company name? Do you have one or not? Or do we just use the baseline for the websites, right? So a little bit of thought goes into that breakdown, okay? It's not much, though, that we have to think about. Anytime you don't have a business name, use the domain name, right? Just make it the basic concept of the business name. Usually that works fine. xfog for clearvision.com can be xfog for Clear Vision. That can be the name of the domain, the business name. My Ultralight X Fog. That could be a business name. Okay. Keep your eyes safe. That could be a business name. Now, we can go and check some of these and make sure nobody has that particular business name. But if we can get the domain, we have the right to it. It's a very generic version of verbiage, and I don't think anyone can actually trademark that. It's too generic. Keep your eyes safe. How are you going to trademark that? And then what? Charge people every time they say it or write it down? Can't. Right? So that's not an issue. But if we ever found we had to change a business name, what do? We have a remote control tool that allows us to do that remotely on any number of websites. So we would just tell it, go to that website, wherever the business name was this, change it to this other name. That is fine. And it's done on all the pages with all the static verbiage and everything. I mean, absolute insanity now. So you're talking about getting 95% of the work done in half a business day. If we didn't have to think at all, then we'd just be able to get it all done to the point where the images will fill in after the fact. And that's okay, because we can already set the pages to index on Google. Okay. Now that leads me to a lot of things. One of the biggest ones people are asking, what if Google realizes all the content's written by AI? First, I want to point this out. The contents no longer are like spin tags. We used to always have formats, right? We'd say if we're going to do 100 websites, we're going to use these same subtitles, just reword them. And the page URLs are going to be the same over and over and over, and from website to website to website. Not anymore. Now we are what we're doing is branching out instantly. We start with our backstory here and say, what's a domain name? Then we say, give me another. Okay, give me another. And then we've already started our branching, because now we say, with our domain backstory in mind, looking at that domain name, what should the keyword be? The main keyword focus of the site. Okay, and then we look at the next domain name, which is totally different. Backstory with this, what should the main keyword be? Okay, we keep doing that. So everything keeps branching totally out in different directions. Even the page URLs are different. Okay, the page slugs are keyword optimized for the purpose of the page. They're based on the page title. Whether it's a home page or an inner page, all the slugs are based on their own pages. So if we have 700 pages, that's 700 different URLs. No copies. The only pages that are copies, of course, for the URL is the home page, because it's just your .com or .net, .org, right? Index page. No one cares. So that's fine. I mean, it's as good as anything. It's as though different humans wrote every single website, literally. So, by the way, the next step, auto-generate blogs. And the blogs can have their own comments. So it's different number of comments per blog automatically generated as the blogs are generated. It's insane because we use our backstory to produce different blog ideas and run the blogs. Okay, let me come back to this. Somebody said, well, what if it is AI content? Does Google get mad? You know what? I looked all into that. Here's the thing. Google wants to know if you're plagiarizing. Heck no. Our structure here forces a branching out that's unique every single day. There's nothing here that is plagiarized. So there's not going to be a ding. Then, why do people care whether it's copied? Has nothing to do with websites. If there's misinformation being spread through social media, those misinformation campaigns, it's important for systems to recognize where it's not the free speech of humans, but it's somebody auto-generating bot speech. And if it's offensive in any way, just delete it, take it down, pull it out, right? And know whether you can blame a person or if it's spread through a bot. That's important. That's one reason to tell. Another reason to tell is because kids going through medical school, law school, any kind of university classes, and they have to turn in their exam, psychology, philosophy, whatever it is, sociology, and they're cheating on the test, right? That is a reason to know. Okay? But other than that, it's perfectly okay as long as you fact check the content. Well, you know what? Because of the way we structure this so carefully as we go through, and then we just, delete anything that doesn't make sense and add more, and then just keep refining it until it's perfect. And we just keep going that way from the ground out. Then it stays on point. And so the amount of total editing at the end of the game is so small that it's unbelievable. It's really no effort. It's just browse through pages and let Google decide in the end which pages it doesn't like and which pages it does. And you could care less because you have a ton out there that are absolutely amazing. And Google will say yes to those. So Google will never turn you down because you used AI to generate your pages. It'll only turn you down if you say your weight loss pill allows you to lose 4 pounds a day and you don't have any doctor's advice on that. Or you're saying here's medical advice, but there's no doctor backing it. Here's legal advice, but you don't have a law degree. Here's financial retirement advice, but you have no experience or training or mentoring or blogs or websites or degree from anywhere that you can point to on your About Me page, So if you want to create stuff for medical, really big deal, or legal, if you want to create stuff for like your financial future, then get someone to back it. Somebody should be the mouthpiece backing it. Basically, it's the client that the work would be done for, right? If we were doing our work for doctor, lawyer, or other associate, what I want to say, we used to have a phrase for that, assorted Indian chief. That's how we used to put it. Doctors and lawyers and Indian chiefs used to be the phrase in the old days, just simply to mean anyone in charge. Then we'd be doing the job for them. And by doing the job for them, of course, they're going to review the model contents and give us any feedback so that we can perfect it. And then as we generate, they can look through it in spurts, or we can get a copywriter to do that job, with whatever his notes are. In the meantime, we have simple troubleshooting methods for ensuring that the company name is right, the phone number is right and stuff, at least 99.9% of the time. So there you go. That's where we are right now, and it's out of this world. I do think that we have the best website generation platform right now, and that we built it the right way. This was hard. There are lots of holes in the data originally. There were a lot of things we had to do to make this work right, but we've got it right. And it's absolutely impressive. And the more we refine the way we do backstories, the better it gets. Okay, I'll talk more about this in the next few videos I'm putting out. But for all you guys like on DML, I always wanted to put the content out, and I always realized parts of it are not good. And now that we get charged to create content, right, we have to pay for content. We want to make sure to do it right the first time around. Well, what it turned into was this branching has to start at the very, very beginning. In order to get uniqueness, even the page URLs, page titles, the subtitles, they can't be based on the same structure. They have to be different every time. Then we had to start at the very, very beginning and domino effect outward the uniqueness, okay? But we did it. And we can do it with as many websites at a time as we want now. It's crazy. All right, so things are going to start to happen really fast because we're at the end point where the content is totally controllable, easy to produce, easy to monitor, during production to just make sure it stays on path. All that stuff, all the tools are built now for that. And then easy in the end to just edit. And that means we're good to go. So for those, for the accident attorney sites is great. Produce great content, a great site, show it to the networks who start saying, heck yeah, I want you on board. And here's the other beauty about being able to generate like this. How do you make pages rank? How do you make websites rank out of thin air when you're not really focused on backlinks? Because Google doesn't care about that as much anymore. Google cares about two things. How long somebody likes to be on your page and or how many things they click on the page. So are they reading a lot? Watching the YouTube videos you have on there? Or are they clicking because they're shorter pages, but they're engaged because whatever the small topics are you're pointing out, maybe that don't even have videos, are very interesting. And they just researching or learning or reading or going through a step 1, step 2, step 3. So the more people either read a long page or they're reading short pages, but they keep reading by clicking, right? Then Google says there's more of that happening than your competitor, right? And we have the ability to monitor whether that's true. We have the ability to monitor whether people are engaged and even let the websites make adjustments to improve engagement on their own. And the websites will make logical decisions, change the prices within the parameters we set, change out YouTube videos if they're not getting watched enough, move sections up if they're not getting seen enough, move sections down if they're stopping people from continuing. The website, page by page, every page we generate automatically starts thinking how to improve your ROI. And we can walk into the stacks with standard rules for the pages so that it goes, oh, I know what you want of me. Okay, all the pages know. And so by generating websites with awesome pages that pay attention to what people do on them, people will spend more time on the pages and or click more things. So what happens? Google, when it measures, starts to realize, wow, people are actually interested in this site more than the competitors. And so we start to rise over the top of them. Wow. And that's great because you might say, what if the other guys start in too? There are some different things to consider. One is, if we're doing 100 websites, that's like 100 different competitors want to keep up with us. They're all going to have to get into that. Not just generate content, but double check that it didn't go crazy because most people are going to just go and auto-generate content, slap it on their website and go, done. But the content ran off the rails. Not with the way we do it. And then it would take 100 competitors actually doing it right to even catch up. And then they don't know how to monitor. It's not just about generating content. It's all the monitoring functionality that we build into the website so that the website tracks real humans and what they think as they go through the pages. Having said that, what else? The fact that we can manually watch and see how people act with the pages in screen recordings that the visitors never knew happened, but it's legal for us to do. And so we are kind of retracing their steps through the website to make sure that while they're there, they're having a good time, that they're actually engaged. Mostly you only do that in the beginning. You launch some pages, watch how people interact with them, make sure you don't have any glaring mistakes. Like they click a link and it's a broken page. Or the link says one thing, but when you click it, it talks about something totally different. Well, go back to the button, change the verbiage on it then. Make sure it says that. And the other button says that somebody didn't mix up anything. All right? So by making sure that people are having a good experience in the beginning, then just let the websites monitor them from there to increase how good a time they have on the websites by just following normal logical rules to improve their behavior, right? The way they interact with the pages and their interest in the pages. Now, having said that, that's amazing. It erases the need for split testing. It erases the need for manual monitoring. It erases the need for paying text to change things around to make things more obvious or something. All that's gone. You don't have to pay for all that stuff. The websites do it themselves. And what else? Our websites are built on incredible coding. They're totally optimized. Everything's minified. Everything's optimized. It's all second-gen images and stuff. The templates are to die for. And not just that, but we are hosted on Amazon cloud servers that are strategically spread around the nation so that we can load balance like lightning speed for everybody for whatever the business is. If the business is on the West Coast, we'll put them on a server on the West Coast. If the business is more like in Chicago, we'll put them on a server that's central. If the business is on the East Coast, we'll put them on a server on the East Coast so that the pages load lightning fast because they're local, like within 1,000 miles of the server every single time, no matter where they are in the nation. Okay, that's crazy. And yeah, that's my explanation up front about where we're at and what we've got going on. So those of you who have big projects in mind, you want things to land hard and fast, we're effectively able to guarantee profit on big projects and on DML positions for very much the same reason. The elbow grease to create stuff just became easy. And that means the elbow grease to amend, to update, to add on to is also very, very simple. So now where our time gets to go is watching how people act on the pages and improving more and more tricks for how the web pages handle the humans for better response rates. Okay? And so, yeah, you want to give me a call and we'll definitely talk through your project and what we can do for you at your level. Yeah, it's a fascinating world right now. Okay, just letting you know who are going to be the first guys to operate this level of the game. It's great. Eventually, competitors are going to try to catch up, and some will eventually. But we are right now so far ahead of the curve. We're probably 3 years ahead of the curve. In terms of if other people even understand what we're doing and try to start the programming to make their own version of what we do, it might take them 3 years to catch up. It's tremendous, the amount of programming to get this far. It's really something. Okay, looking forward to getting you guys on a roll. And yeah, looking forward to getting those DML positions live. Anyone who wants to get into any DML positions, go for it. I would do it now because we can make the most incredible stuff at light speed now. It's kind of back to the old days. In the old days, of course, we hit a button and generate tons of pages at once. It's not quite that fast now, but it is better. There are no variations on a common theme anymore. We are generating uniqueness at incredible speed. 1,000 words a minute. 1,000 words a minute. That's 100 words in 6 seconds, 50 words in 3 seconds, right? So you're closing in on 20 words a second, just auto-generating, and it's captivating writing, and that's in one instance, but we do that times 5 times 3 servers. So we're doing it 15 times faster than that. So it's like 300 words a second, I think. Absolutely crazy. Okay, looking for, 300 words a second. We're generating 300 words a second automatically in this process. And it's perfect. And it's going to monitor itself. And so, ROI comes out of that. But Google sees how long people are on the pages and rank them higher. More people see the pages. They're also impressed. They also like what they read. So Google ranks it higher. More people see it. They also like what they read. So Google ranks it higher. And the whole time your paychecks are increasing because people like what they read. And so they buy your stuff. That's crazy. It's everything's awesome now. Okay.